Hey guys, how you doing?
How you doing? All right?
You're good.
Good. Love the show. I watched the second season in like a day and a half. I was so obsessed.
Oh, great.
Um, so I guess just sort of in a general sense, what were you guys looking forward to in jumping back into with like just merely the text? Because I even started compiling a Word document of like the funniest lines. That's how obsessed I was
Oh, that's
with the
Oh,
writing.
cool.
please,
Send it
It's
to us.
please send it to us. Genuinely, because
Yes.
people always ask us like, what's our
And we
favorite?
say so many things and
Yeah,
we forget, you've done it so
If-
long
it's,
ago.
it's a bit
yeah.
of an embarrassment of riches in this show because all the
Yeah.
dialogue's so good, and there's always
Yeah.
ones. I'll be going in the morning like learning my lines, and I'll be looking. I'll be like, that's the best line ever, and
Mhm.
and then that happens so frequently that you kind of don't remember them overall
know.
because
Which-
so we need your Word
That's
document,
Tony's
please.
genius. I mean, he's like, there's so many one-liners and digs.
Yeah, I
And
think
that
Singers.
genuinely, I think, is the thing that going back to it this season is like truly feel so lucky to get to go to work every day and just with a script that we all adore and characters that we love and the confidence and fun that comes from that in just being able, because there's been plenty of times for me anyway that you go to work and you're not 100% about the script or the scene or
Yeah,
the
and you're like,
character,
we'll figure it out on the day. I'm not
and
sure.
work becomes so
Yeah.
stressful because you're trying to make the best thing you can, obviously,
Yeah.
in that moment. Whereas with this, it always seems to be that the scene and what you're doing is in a great place, and then you can just really enjoy it. And I think that's what shines through in the show, is that everyone's having a really good time making it.
Mhm.
I think the scripts themselves, like there isn't another show on television like this. The richness of it, where when I was compiling just like notes on it, like every episode felt like it was like a half a page long because I wanted to make sure that I remembered certain things about every episode. It's just so good. Um, Elle, I was curious. Peter insists that you can't run a country without violence. That's sort of a theme that's run through the whole thread of season two.
And I didn't hear the
If you
rest.
thought that she was naive to what Peter had to say, and is she worried that Peter might be correct?
Yeah, I know. I think that what's in season two, it's really interesting because obviously she wanted the power so badly. Now she finally has it, and it's now a bit like, how is she can she maintain it? What's she gonna do with it? Um, and is she going to be able to rule the country in the way that she promised, in the way that she wants to? And she always sees so much of the good in people, and she does such progressive, amazing things, but she's trying to change a country that doesn't necessarily want to be changed. And also, it's kind of like when you're in a relationship with someone and you're trying to change them, and it's like, well, you kind of got to see them for who they are. You can kind of talk about it a bit and tweak it and like work it out, but you can't completely change the whole framework of everything. So Catherine also has to budge a little bit. She has to give, there's always a give and a take. So I think this season she has to also be willing to kind of change her ways as well. I mean, it's a beautiful, way of life that she wants to live, but sometimes that's not completely realistic. And funny enough, like Peter in a lot of ways actually teaches her a lot, I think, this season, because there are times that I think the audience is even going to question and be like, God, should Peter just go back in power? Like, even though, yeah, he did a lot of things, but in a way, it's like he kind of gets the people of Russia, so, and yeah, Catherine, I mean, she also, I think she's trying to do things very much in a hurry because the baby's like a ticking time bomb. In a sense. So she has those months, but yeah, bloodshed, I don't know, she becomes a bit ruthless herself. Some blood is poured
to do what she has to do. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
All right, guys, you guys are so busy. Thank you guys so much
no,
for your time.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, that was
Have a
it.
good rest of your day.
Darn. Okay.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I guess Phoebe, how confident or nervous, I would say, is Marial that Catherine actually trusts her as the season gets underway?
I think that Marial should be more worried than she is. I think she has that kind of blind, like, she thinks that people love her. Marial, she's very sure of people's affection, even when she shouldn't be. I think that, you know, she totally underestimates just how big a betrayal the end of season 1 was for Catherine, because she sees it in a completely different way. You know, I think she truly believes that she was trying to help Catherine and help herself at the same time. But she kind of blindly just goes back into her friendship with Catherine without really considering that there may be repercussions.
Yeah, I sort of really love and admire the confidence that Marial exudes, whether it's constant as she puts it out there in a front. I love that about the character, and I think that's what a lot of people respond to with the character. Sacha, I gotta ask, I was really taken aback by Orlo's aggressive side this season, and I was curious if you think that even took himself by surprise.
Yeah, I think the general thing for me this year, especially when I was chatting to Tony, was he uses the expression lean and mean. And it started to happen in season 1. I call it the road to enlightenment. This young man finding himself, and it continues in season 2, especially when Catherine takes the throne. It's a life-changing moment for him, and it changes him. He gets status, he gets power. People in court want to know him. Guys and girls want to sleep with him. So it was really nice this season, obviously, to continue fighting for Russia's cause, but to enjoy this newly found status. He becomes a rock star overnight. And I really enjoyed playing that. So as much as he's kind of lean and mean, he's looser as well. And that's just shown in how he carries himself and how he wears his costume. But at the same time as well, as much as it's kind of great that Catherine's in power, their relationship is also tested as well. Quite early on, they have differences of opinion, so it's never as straightforward as it seems in this show.
All right. I guess one last question that I can sort of posit you both with is, as season 2 comes to a close, would you consider yourselves, Marial and Orlo, to be sort of Catherine's sort of ultimate ride or dies, because she gets something different and necessary from each of you?
Yeah, she does. I think, like, I don't know, man. I mean, the issue with Catherine and Marial's relationship is that fundamentally Marial is only really loyal to herself, you know, and although they are so good for each other because they totally balance each other out, you know, Marial's cynicism is balanced out by Catherine's optimism and vice versa. You know, it's a relationship that's I worry about it. It's tenuous.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel the same as well, actually. I never would have expected that. He's so loyal to Russia and loyal to Catherine. But even towards the end of the season, their relationship is fractious. But sometimes maybe that needs, it's a new kind of relationship as well. So maybe that needs to happen for the better. And they're still trying to understand one another. And Catherine is slightly naive to think she can implement these huge changes. And when she tries to, she does really pay the price for it. We see that definitely in this season.
Yeah, I like how the show, and I guess the last thing I'll say about it is the show and the characters are fully in service to the story, and I don't think a lot of shows do that. So I'm fascinated with your characters. Love what you guys get to do this year. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah. I am obsessed with the show. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to talk to me. I guess to start, Bayo, how do you think that Arkady underestimates Catherine? Because I feel like he's very eager to jump in with plans with Peter, but how do you think he underestimates her?
I think I think it's like there's a general. He underestimates her certainly, and I think he doesn't quite realize how I suppose brilliant she can be and will be at this in this role. But I suppose also he's just primarily just concerned with getting Peter back in power, regardless of how brilliant or insightful or whatever she may be, because he just represents a direct threat to his way of life. So I think that I don't know if it's so much underestimation, but I think it's just certainly a certain determination to unseat her. But I suppose with that, along the way, there's moments where he realizes that, I think he also realizes that he might be flying too close to the sun, or just sort of really murky waters with this, with some of the ideas and elaborate plans he has to sort of unseat her.
Yeah. Okay. Gwilym, I was curious. I think it's interesting that I'm speaking to you guys together. You're on the same side with each other, but I feel like Arkady's wife is very open with the flirtation of trying to get with Peter, and I was curious if maybe your character was ever tempted to maybe pull Arkady aside and sort of put in perspective of maybe stepping into that sort of right-hand man place, especially with Arkady's marriage a little bit ever?
Oh, I don't think there's much kind of like sympathy. I think there's just a relief that it's finally happening to someone else and not happening to him. So I think he relishes in the fact that like he's seeing it kind of unravel, and I think Grigor really enjoys that. I think because
even when you're actually trying to give some advice on how to deal with it, there is a certain level of relishing it, isn't there? Definitely. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Do you think that how do you think Grigor changes physically after something happens in the middle of the season, new sort of romance? I feel like I saw you like walking taller in a sort of way. How do you think that physically changed you playing the character?
Yeah. I mean, that's cool. You noticed that. I mean, it's for so much of the first season and the beginning half of like season 2, like he's in a horrible situation, and it's all his humiliation is so public. That's the thing about this court. It's like we're all living in each other's pockets, and like we know each other's business, and there's no room to like kind of to like suffer in silence. You do it publicly, and that's oppressive for Grigor for so long. It's embarrassing. So I think that's what I've really enjoyed about this season, is that like Grigor finds some confidence, finds his voice, and like you say, learns to kind of like walk tall because like he's enjoying life again. It's looking good for him,
There's actually a moment where I felt like, I can actually see the sun on his face a little bit, which I thought was a weird thing to kind of notice, not necessarily even in the shadow. So I think I have to wrap it up. So thank you guys so much. Love the show. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.